Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, host of Bachelor Nation News. In response to some of the allegations of blackfishing that are happening out there in our universe, Rachel Lindsay has written an essay on blackfishing, which I will read for you in a few moments, but I'm going to catch everyone up on this story. There has been some Reddit threads accusing Kaitlyn Bristowe of blackfishing. This is Kaitlyn right here with a filter on, and this is Kaitlyn right here saying no filter, no Fs. And some people say, oh, it's all fun and games to be a woman of color until you have to do that 24/7. So people were upset saying Kaitlyn is blackfishing, co-opting, features that aren't naturally hers through exaggerated filters, Photoshop, things like that. We'll get into what this all means. Rachel Lindsay will describe exactly what blackfishing is, and we'll show some other examples. I just asked in the comment section, everyone keeps it very respectful, and if it's an issue that you don't think is important, I would just look in the mirror and understand why you think that is, and just because it's not important to you doesn't mean it's not worth discussing out there. As you guys know, when it comes to Bachelor Nation and other controversial topics, we're always willing to discuss it and learn a little bit from it all. I made this video yesterday, quick shout out to it, 2 days ago, about Katie Thurston trying stand-up comedy, but I made this video 1 hour before she announced she broke up with Blake, which means most of the contents of this video no longer make sense, so I never aired it. People have asked me to watch it. It's Katie trying stand-up comedy, my thoughts on the matter. I can't share this publicly, and like I said, it no longer makes sense, but if you want to go to patreon.com/Dave Neal, you can watch this video right now. Otherwise, I'm going to redo this video later on today and make it talk about where Katie probably stands with regards to trying stand-up for the first time. As a stand-up comedian, we talk a little bit about that. All right, so this is what kind of sparked it all. Rachel Lindsay said 1 week ago that she's going to be dropping an essay on blackfishing. Again, I'm going to read it for you in a minute. Some of the comments says, is this about Kaitlyn Bristowe and her filters that she was using and the heat that she got on the, right before the premiere of Michelle Young's season of Bachelorette. And so one of the comments says, this is more likely linked to Little Mix, Nicki Minaj stuff. So Little Mix was a group, and again, I apologize for being so out of the loop on this, but Jessie Nelson left Little Mix to pursue her solo pop career, and her former Little Mix bandmates accused her of blackfishing. We'll discuss what that all means. Here she is, and again, this is Jessie Nelson. She's like a top pop artist. She went solo career, and the girls, Jessie. Let's go to the comment here. The songstress was said to be devastated. Leanne had sparked racial hatred and a new wave of intense trolling towards her, telling pals she couldn't believe someone she once called family could be so cruel. It's not fair to criticize Leanne over this. She was just as upset as were others over blackfishing, and social media is awash with it. So that's what's going on with. And now here's another photo of her. I mean, clearly it's like, at what point is it makeup versus at what point are you cosplaying like an ethnically ambiguous thing? And if you're doing it to make money, to monetize your career because you're getting into the rap or hip-hop game. Last video, we talked about blackfishing. We talked about Miley Cyrus making like some hip-hop music, dominating the charts, and then scrapping it for other genres. And where does that leave the people that identify as people of color? Where does that leave them when what could be like a white pop star comes in and co-ops that lifestyle for profit? So here's what happened. I'll read some of your comments. A lot of people thought this wasn't blackfishing, but it's at least worth the conversation. So Kaitlyn Bristowe, you can't necessarily blame her for putting this filter on. It's a ridiculous filter. But then she says no filter, whether it's spray tans or what. At some point, it's like I understand that there's a line. Blackface is culturally extremely taboo, rightfully so, yet spray tanning isn't. And where is the shade from spray tanning to blackface? Most people in the comment section, and again, this was me trying out the filter just to see. I think these filters are all ridiculous. I would never let my kids use them, just because it's an unreal bar that you set for yourself. But most people's comments thought this wasn't blackfishing, but was worth the convo. I'm a black woman, and I think it was just filters or too much spray tan. I don't think Kaitlyn was trying to come off as being a black woman. We all know Kaitlyn, and that isn't even her personality. Quite frankly, I'm not offended. She looks great with a deep tan. Buela Belafonte says, as a black woman, this is a reach. I can understand if she was heavily tanned with braids or something, but in this case, this is at most Megan Fox fishing. I don't think she's blackfishing, but I think she has a lot of body dysmorphia. So we don't want to get into the body dysmorphia aspect with regards to like plastic surgery and all that. Completely different topic. But so here's Rachel's response. I'm just going to read the whole thing for you, okay? Here's Rachel's response. Again, maybe it's more for Little Minx, but maybe it's for... as far as Bachelor Nation goes, we'll discuss it. And after this, I'll share with you that Rachel Lindsay has a new sponsor on her Instagram. And as much as I love Rachel Lindsay and everything, I am for sure going to be calling her out for who she is associating herself with. So stay tuned for that again. But here we go. This is Rachel Lindsay Abasolo on honestyRach.bulletin.com. There's always a topic, phrase, or word that has been around for a while but has not yet hit the public masses or become a catchphrase. And before you know it, we are all repeating it like it has always been a part of our vocabulary. 2020 brought on a racial awakening, and with that came a whole slew of new vocabulary. Now, mind you, these terms were already prevalent in the black community and academia prior to this, but it wasn't until recently that these words and issues became arising to the forefront. Terminologies such as microaggression, white privilege, culture, representations, systemic racism, white fragility, etc. The words may be new, but the issues are not, and lately I have seen this happen again with the word blackfishing. Like the above referenced words, blackfishing is not a new terminology. Blackfishing was first coined a few years ago on Twitter by Wana Thompson. Thompson developed the term when she continued to see white celebrities, influencers, and others with public platforms enhance, alter, or transform their natural-born features to emulate black women. Maybe you did not know this had a name, and maybe you weren't consciously aware of it, but you have seen it. Take a look at social media, music videos, magazine covers, photo shoots, you name it. Lips, hairstyles, nails, clothes, swag, excessive tanning, all things that appear to be cosplaying black women, because these are all styles and images that were initiated by black women. Still don't understand or think I'm exaggerating? Let me give you just a few examples. First up is Iggy Azalea. Iggy Azalea is a blonde-haired woman with pale white skin from Mullumbimby, New South Wales. She first emerged, I probably butchered that. She first emerged on the scene neglecting all relation to her roots in her music to portray blackness in her music. It was shocking and jarring to anyone to hear her speak in an interview versus what she sounded like on the ones and twos. Just when you thought it could not get any worse, she released a new music accompanied by a music video where she now looks strikingly different. Dark hair, enhanced features, and a visibly darker skin tone. Next up, Jessie Nelson. Van and I recently discussed Nicki Minaj defending white people blackfishing, especially Jessie Nelson on Higher Learning. Watch and listen below. So I won't play that clip for you guys. Finally, the Kardashian-Jenner family. I will just leave that one there. You might ask yourself why this is a problem or why it is offensive. Some say that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. That might be true if you were copying the necklace I was wearing or the jeans I bought. But mimicking my identity is just downright disrespectful and insulting. There's a way to appreciate and be respectful of our culture without stealing it. I think we have had enough of that. See, any day a white woman who is blackfishing could wipe off their darker foundation and concealer or stop tanning and go right back to being white. We, however, are black all day, every day. We are not a costume, we are not cosplay, we are not caricatures, and we are not a trend. Frankly, I am tired of scrolling through social media, watching television, or flipping through a magazine and seeing how we are depicted. We have been told for so long that our features did not qualify or equate to the standard of beauty. We have been told black is not beautiful, but now it is okay because it is cool. The other side of the disrespect is that it is just plain hurtful. You want to do things that make you look like us, but aren't down to do the things that help us or lift us up. You haven't had to struggle to deal with issues of insecurity, to find your way back to appreciating and loving your blackness, because for so long, society that told you that you were not worthy. That being said, I hope that the same way that we have learned to love ourselves and appreciate our blackness, that the blackfishers do the same. Appreciate who you are. If you find yourself doing any of the above, there is not a question about it. You are guilty of blackfishing. And on behalf of the black community, I am asking you to please stop, even if Nicki Minaj says it's okay. And again, that was from Rachel Lindsay's honestyRach.bulletin.com. I'd love to know what you guys think. Leave a comment. Absolutely. She doesn't mention, again, Kaitlyn Bristowe here. I didn't think she would. And of course, like we said, if it's enough to spark a conversation, great. But at the same time, no need to tear down Kaitlyn Bristowe. Intention, I believe, is important when discussing things like this. And I don't believe Kaitlyn Bristowe is trying to monetize or sort of reap any profits from emulating anyone else. I think it's a conversation worth having at the very least. Let's go back here. Maybe I'll play a clip of this. Let's see how long this is. I'll play a quick clip.
Is also doing something that you hate. She's defending white people. Jessie Nelson was a singer from Little Mix. You ever heard of Little Mix?
I'll tell you why I've heard of them.
Oh, wow. Little Mix.
But I didn't know who was in it. I just had heard of the group. Every Bachelorette has a theme song and a commercial that comes with it. And mine was That's Our Girl. And the song is by Lil Mix. That's how I found out who they were.
Did you choose that?
No.
You didn't choose it. So I guess Little Mix is hot.
If I was choosing my song that year, it would have been like, I'm a boss ass bitch.
Fight
bitch,
the power.
Bitch, bitch, bitch,
Yeah.
bitch.
Bitch. Bitch, you can't say
Y'all
that.
hear that?
Yeah. So they did a song together called Boys, and in the Boys.
So they just cover
Jessie
exactly what we
Nelson.
talked about. The fact you can go watch that, go check on our blog. But they just covered the Jessie Nelson bit. So that's pretty much it for Blackfishing. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Of course, like I said, it's one of those things. If you're a white person, you listen. You know, for me as a white guy, you're be in class, take notes. That's all you're doing. Just take notes and learn a little bit. And I don't think this is something that affects necessarily the audience on the day-to-day, but when you see it in pop culture, it's at least worth knowing, oh, so-and-so's totally co-opting, if you're like, you could get into different examples, but you guys understand. So here's Rachel Lindsay. Again, much love to her, but we're going to call her out, but gently, we're going to call her out gently here. Here she is doing a sponsorship. I just saw this minutes ago, and I was like, wow, she's doing a sponsorship for Walmart. And again, not I respect it. It's like, look, here's the thing. If Walmart came to me and offered me money, probably a lot of money, probably like 50 grand for this post. If they offered that to me, I'd have a hard time saying no. I'd have a hard time putting my principles over a paycheck. But of course, Walmart and McDonald's and other companies that barely pay a living wage or don't pay a living wage, it was reported, are the biggest recipients of food stamps. So essentially, because the federal minimum wage is so low, companies like Walmart, which is some of the biggest companies in the world, right? Walmart has put so many small businesses out of business. And during the pandemic, it was hard to shop anywhere but a Walmart as small businesses were closed. They're able to hire people at such low wages that most of their employees have to be on government assistance, which means indirectly, we're helping pay Walmart's salary because they need, different, they need financial help to survive because they're being paid so low. Walmart ranked among the top 4 largest companies that received SNAP and Medicaid benefits in the states whose data was included in this report. McDonald's was listed in the top 5 of at least 9 states and was said to employ nearly 8,800 workers who've received SNAP assistance within the data set. Most working adults in the program work for private sector employers concentrated in certain industries, restaurants, department stores, and grocery stores. So these numbers came out. This story is a year old, but it's just important to talk about. It's a sidestep from the previous issue, but it's another issue that's important to talk about. If not for the employment access Walmart and other companies provide, many more people would be dependent on government assistance, a Walmart spokesperson said in a statement. So thanks to Walmart for, this is so America right here, thanks to Walmart for paying their employees so little, they need less government assistance than if they had no job whatsoever. So they're essentially indentured servants or like slave lights. They're essentially slave lights. Their job doesn't pay them enough to have basic human rights like healthcare and shelter. And shelter should be a human right. We live in one of the richest countries in the world. Walmart has invested more than $5 billion in increased pay, expanded health benefits, and blah, 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 all that jazz, right? That's their spokesperson talk. When in fact, who cares if they invested $5 billion? Maybe they needed to invest $50 billion. How much are their profits? The Walton company, the Walton family is one of the richest families in the world. McDonald's noted the average starting wage at U.S. corporate-owned restaurants is over $10 per hour. Wow, isn't that amazing? Can really give it up for Walmart. Wow, and exceeds the federal minimum wage. Listen, our federal minimum wage has not increased in literal ages, right? You could not work a 40-hour, like the federal minimum wage is supposed to be the number that lets you work 40 hours, which is already a lot, but 40 hours and be able to provide for your family. That's what it's supposed to be. Not some entry-level job. It's supposed to be a set wage for people at the bare minimum to provide for at least themselves. And they showed that the federal minimum wage in today's world would have to be something in the 20s, probably $25 an hour to compete for what it used to be in like the 60s, 70s. So the federal minimum wage is still in the $7 per hour, guys. It's an actual crime. McDonald's and franchisees are provide. Okay, so they go on and on. But this Bernie Sanders had sort of, I don't know if he commissioned this study, but he was speaking about it. This is what a rigged economy is about, Bernie Sanders wrote. We need a $15 living wage and Medicare for all. Yeah, now imagine if we had Medicare for all, then that wouldn't drive up the prices and all this other BS. You'd be like, let the companies pay their employees, and maybe we wouldn't have such a work shortage. This article's from a year ago, right? But the work shortage exists because people go, it's not even worth it. It literally isn't worth me. I can't pay for childcare and then go work a job. I'm barely even breaking even. What's the point? I'm almost better off not working at all. Sanders and other Democratic leaders have advocated in recent years for the implementation of a $15 federal minimum wage. President Joe Biden has signaled that he intends to support the proposed wage hike. And of course, some companies like Bernie Sanders helped the workers at Disney strike to get $15. $15 an hour is barely livable in some of the lowest cost of living states. But it's not an argument that I think anyone can make where they believe a $15 minimum wage is out of reach. Now, some people say, well, a minimum wage of $15 is too much for like first-time employees, but that's a sham argument, because most people that work at minimum wage jobs aren't just 15-year-olds working at a golf course. No, it's people's moms and dads and people that like that's the only gig in town. You know, we saw that like the dollar store or was it Dollar Tree, their employees have a 1-month turnaround, which means they just bring in new employees, they work them to the ground, and then they bring in new employees, and they're paying them such tiny amounts of money that it just drives the whole world down. And as some people say, there are like places where people live where Dollar Tree is the only job they can have. Walmart's the only job they can have. People like that live in bigger towns or have more opportunity or have a car or transportation go, well, I'll just find another job. Well, that isn't the case for everybody. A lot of people are saddled down with tons of debt. They need to survive, and they're just swimming in the deep end. So I thought that was interesting that Rachel Lindsay, a very smart lawyer and actually, I'm assuming very wealthy person would be sponsored by Walmart. But then again, I don't think it'll get much hate. I just think it's worth pointing out. Like I said, could be totally hypocritical. Walmart could call me tomorrow and be like, Dave, we want to sponsor your channel. I'll be like, you know what? I guess I am shackled to this corporate world that we live in. But in the meantime, we're going to call things out as we see fit. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. Very complicated topics we're speaking about here. Love to hear your thoughts. Keep it respectful in the comment section. We'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.